If you are going to build on nearly 3 hectares of steep, raw mountain terrain, a beautiful architectural design isn't enough to get the job done. You need a rigorous execution roadmap. The target for this site is the Hoshiyama Residence, a fully off-grid Bali-Japanese sanctuary engineered for absolute permanence. Before any heavy machinery touches the dirt, we have to secure the site data. That means completing geodetic, topographic, and geotechnical surveys, along with securing required timber permits. Without that hard data, you are just guessing on soil bearing capacity and slope stability, and guessing is exactly how mound developments end up with catastrophic structural failures down the line. The very first operational hurdle is getting to the build site. Right now, there is zero vehicular access, just a severe drop-off from the existing barangay road. Looking at the topography, the tight contour lines off the existing road indicate a brutally steep grade. To get trucks down safely, we must engineer a terraced descent, pouring concrete retaining walls to support a zigzag path to the middle section. As that road is cut, longitudinal and transverse drainage channels must go in immediately alongside it. If you leave that new access point unprotected during the monsoon season, the water will wash it out. Secure the access road first, or you can't bring in the backhoes and mixers required for the rest of the build. Once we have access, the focus shifts to grading. We use a cut-and-fill strategy across the terrain to carve out stable platforms for the structures. This site plan maps out those 3 distinct zones. The highest platform will hold the clubhouse. The large central pad is reserved for the main U-house, and the natural ledge on the southern edge becomes the viewing deck. Between those structural pads sits a natural depression running right through the middle of the property, which we are intentionally leaving intact. This mini valley will double as a natural walking path and, more importantly, a passive drainage corridor that safely guides runoff away from foundations and out to the south. When you respect the mountain's existing water routes instead of filling them in, you solve your long-term erosion problems before they start. Next, we install the site's mechanical heart. To hit 100% electrical autonomy, we are building a south-facing solar farm paired with a high-capacity lithium iron phosphate battery bank. This diagram shows how we tackle water autonomy. Rainwater is collected from the roofs, channeled into 2 50,000-liter underground cisterns, and then pushed through an industrial reverse osmosis system so the taps flow with soft, drinkable water. Because this is a high-end sanctuary, there is a strict visual rule: absolutely no overhead wires. Every electrical, data, and drainage line is trenched and buried. That aesthetic mandate also applies to the roofs. We've replaced standard PVC exterior pipes with traditional Japanese kusari doi, or rain chains, to gently guide the water down. True engineering discipline in a luxury build means installing complex infrastructure and then making sure those systems are completely invisible to the eye. With the site prepped, vertical construction begins. But we aren't starting with the main residence. We build the 80-square-meter clubhouse and the pool first. This gives the clients a fully functional, comfortable base camp to live in, while the much larger primary house is being framed and finished. Once the entire estate is complete and they move into the main house, this temporary living space permanently transitions into a designated social hub for their guests. By sequencing the smaller structure first, we solve the logistical headaches of remote project management. The owners get to stay directly on the site and personally oversee the daily quality control and finishing of their new home. To ensure that those guests don't disturb the primary residence, the entire property layout operates on a concentric privacy model. We create a physical barrier between the 2 zones by planting a 15 to 20 meter thick buffer ring composed of dense bamboo and flowering hedges. This diagram maps the pedestrian flow. Notice how we use 2 distinct walking paths. One routes visitors down from the clubhouse, while a separate private path leads from the main house. Both converge cleanly at the cantilevered southern viewing deck. The pass or fail test for this layout is strict. If a guest is standing at the clubhouse pool, they should have zero visibility into the private wings of the main house. In this master plan, the landscape architecture functions as a structural tool to enforce strict boundaries and protect the homeowner's peace. By following this specific sequence, engineering the access, grading the pads, burying the grid, sequencing the builds, and planting the privacy barriers, we neutralize the risks of the terrain and secure the site. Every high-end detail the clients actually want to see, from the polished micro-cement floors to the serene internal courtyard, rests entirely on the heavy civil engineering buried beneath the soil. A brilliant design only becomes a permanent home when the foundation is executed correctly. Now that the site is secure, we can open up the blueprints and examine the architecture